We're going to continue with the rear end of our EB410.2 buggy build, moving on to bag F, which contains some highly customizable parts, the rear hubs and CVAs. The rear hubs and camber links bag F, contain parts that you can really begin to customize according to your driving style or particular race surface. And there are lots of new parts here too. We have the new hubs that allow for 2 different heights for the ball studs, 4 different length locations, as well as 3 different diff heights at the lower hinge pin, along with some heavy duty drive shafts. Then we have a new rear tower which allows for the use of a separate camber block. The camber plate allows for more vertical options similar to the 1/8 scale platform, while the new rear tower and improved shock mounts are made to mount the shocks on the front of the tower instead of the rear. Finally, we also have a new rear wing mount, which is now a one-piece design, so shouldn't flex or twist like the predecessor, ensuring the wing stays more centered. Finishing off, we'll be adding rear camber links, which we'll need to put together beforehand. So with that said, let's get started. We'll begin with the hub, so with the inserts removed from the plastic tree, place the top 2 inserts into either side of the hub. Take extra care with orientation here. You want to replicate the same on both sides of the hub using the image on the guide. So we have the stock orientation here. The same applies for the inserts into the bottom of the hub too, again taking care with orientation. With those in place, grab the 12mm ball stud from your pack of hardware, feed through an 8mm washer, through the stock position on the hub, and secure into place with a flanged lug nut, just until it's nice and snug. With a large bearing inserted into the inner side of the hub, and a smaller bearing on the outer side, the hub is complete and ready for the axle to be inserted. Before doing that though, use the same steps to prepare the opposite hub. So all 4 inserts, taking care with the orientation of course, ball stud complete with its 8mm washer, fed through and secured with the locking nut, and finished off with the bearings on either side. With hubs prepared, we're now ready to construct our axles. I like to add a touch of grease inside the axle before I begin. Don't go crazy here, a small amount is perfectly fine. So with the drive shaft in hand, insert the small black piece with the hole pointing upwards, slide on the axle, and drop in the pin to keep everything in place. The grease helps to keep everything nice and free. Repeat the same for the opposite side, and with that, insert the axle through the previously prepared hub, drop on a 0.2mm shim, and insert the retaining pin to keep everything in place. Finally, drop on a wheel hex, which is indented, so ensure the pin slips inside, and secure in place with a single 3mm set screw along with some thread lock applied too. Repeat on the opposite side. And our CVAs are now complete. Give them some turns, making sure they are completely free, and with that they are now ready to be mounted to our previously prepared rear end assembly. Note that both CVAs and hubs are not precisely the same, therefore care needs to be taken when installing onto the rear assembly, as noted in the manual. So with our left hub assembly in hand, feed the dog bone end into the diff cup, and the bottom of the hub then sits in the opposite end of the arm. The hinge pin can be inserted to keep the hub in place, although be sure to insert 2 spaces from the plastic tree into the rear as you push the hinge pin through, and 1 spacer in the front, followed by a 4mm button head screw to secure the hinge pin into place. Repeat the same steps on the opposite side, making sure those small washers are inserted correctly, so 2 in the rear and 1 in the front hub, and then secure into place. So with the rear hubs and drive shafts now in place, we need to build our rear camber links. To do this, we need to insert the turnbuckles into the rod ends. Note the rod ends are different at either end, so one is angled while the other is straight, and they are not pre-threaded either. So as we insert the turnbuckles, we'll be creating the threads at the same time. The best way to do this is to apply a small amount of grease to the turnbuckle threads. I then like to hold the rod end with the Tekno wheel wrench as it provides a nice big grip, and then push the turnbuckle hard into it as you twist. Once you feel it bite, you may find it easier to use a wrench to grip the turnbuckle as you twist into the rod end. Repeat on the opposite side, bearing in mind one side has reverse threads, and then repeat the process on the second turnbuckle too. If created correctly, you should have a 22.5mm gap between rod ends. There's even an actual size diagram in the manual to compare with to make sure you get the length right. Anyway, once done, insert an 8mm ball stud into the straight end of each camber link, ensuring the T logo on the turnbuckle is facing upwards as you push the ball stud from the bottom, and then insert each into the camber plate, the stock position being the center hole, and secure into place with flanged lock nuts, ensuring they're both nice and snug. With the camber plate ready, the next step is to reach for the shock tower, and insert 2 shock standoffs, with the stock position being second hole from bottom, before securing into place with a set of flanged lock nuts. Notice the straight edges for the standoffs, and the rounded edges for the nuts. Now we have both shock tower and camber plate ready for installation onto the rear assembly. We'll be using the 2 available bottom holes in the camber plate, as well as the 2 bottom holes in the shock tower. So with these lined up, we can position these across the top of the bulkhead and secure into place with 2 14mm button head screws, one on either side. Finally, the opposite ends of the camber links pop straight onto the ball studs previously installed onto the top of each hub. If you've kept everything stock, notice how the camber link is on the inside of the camber plate on either side, with the rod end logo facing away from the ball stud, the turnbuckle notches face to the left side of the vehicle, and the opposite rod ends of each link bend upwards and into the hubs, again with the logo pointing away from the ball stud. With all that done, the final step to this bag is attaching the new rear wing mount. This attaches to the outer side of the shock tower, and is held in place with 2 14mm button head screws fed in from the opposite side. Take care not to over tighten and strip any threads here, just enough so it's snug. And our final 2 25mm button head screws feed in from the rear bottom of the wing mount, through the shock tower, and into the body mount that is positioned on the opposite side. Again, tighten both screws only until snug. And that's our rear end pretty much complete. Everything is turning nice and freely, as are the arms and camber links. Super high quality stuff. With the rear end complete, we need to follow a pretty similar process with the front end too. So place the rear assembly to one side, and we'll move across to the front end assembly in the next video, with bag G.